Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Clinic Gym Radio. I am your host, Dr. Josh Satterley, and I'm honored today to be joined by my main man storyteller here, Jon Morrison. How are you, Jon?
Great, Josh. It's good to be here, and really thankful to be able to speak to your people here and add some value, talking about the power of story to market your practice.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to dive into this because, man, oh man, I know I read this book, Building a StoryBrand. I know you're certified in the StoryBrand process, and I have so many people that, every time I guess the worst part about reading that book is then you start looking at all these marketing materials going, oh my God, this is so bad, right?
It's very painful.
Yeah, it is.
So to look at your own stuff, right? And then to have to look at other people's. And then, actually movies themselves are wrecked for you once you read the book because you're like, oh, this is so predictable. There's a character, his problem. Okay, I see it. Oh, here comes the guide. And something's gonna go wrong for them here. Anyways, it wrecks everything, but it makes everything awesome because it really does enhance your marketing collateral, how you talk about your business in a way that captures people's attention, and you have tons of stuff to talk about when it comes to marketing what you do. So it's great.
The other thing, it's not just the capturing of people's attention. People remember stories. I mean, we tell our kids stories that we've heard when we were kids, and they heard stories when they were kids, and it's just like over and over. The stories have such a long shelf life, and we're in this world of like quick hits on Facebook and Instagram and social media, where little tiny bits of information are, if they're 3 hours old, they're dead and gone. So I think it's cool that stories last so long. And I'd love to dive into how you recommend people use that in their marketing. Would that be cool?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, stories are something we've been telling each other since the dawn of time. And the cool thing is it's an innovation into marketing that we can say, hey, we're going to use a story to kind of get people interested. But when we're going to talk about it, Josh, it's not actually our story that we can tell. In fact, people don't really care about our story. They care about their own story. And so what we're going to do is how do you get healthcare professionals in other people's stories so that they would go to you to solve their problems. And that's the kind of the paradigm shift that StoryBrand offers, is that no one really cares about your story as much as you care about maybe the history of Clorox bleach. You really care about Clorox bleach when you have a stain on your shirt. You have a problem, you want to solve it, and all of a sudden Clorox becomes very interesting. So when people feel chronic pain or hopelessness that they're ever going to feel better, then all of a sudden the story of the chiropractor becomes very interesting. Can you help me feel better again, get back to my regular activities? And then
and start writing a better story with the rest of my life, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Sure. So I know that a lot of chiros are out there, and we're talking to great chiropractors who are adding a gym to their clinic. And a lot of them say, well, I want to do this because it's a continuation of care. And I'm kind of poking fun. And I did the same thing when I built my facility. You talk about the features of what you're offering. Oh, we offer functional training and functional fitness, and, we do XYZ, but or XYZ, as you would say up there in Canada. But you have a different approach to it. Right? You think that we should go about this a different way.
Yeah, I think the truth is I don't really care how you're going to make me feel better as a patient. I really just want to know that you can make me feel better and that you can do it in other things that I'm kind of struggling with. One, I'm really busy. So how can you do it in a way that works around my busy schedule? And, maybe I have some apprehensions about, who's the best service to go to when I have this pain. So, but ultimately it's like, can you solve my pain? Can you do it in a way that works around my schedule and in a way that I can afford? And so all those things, I mean, it's just, I'm really driven simply by, can you help me? Because I have a bunch of these problems. I have these needs. And don't tell me about the way you're going to do it necessarily, unless you're talking to your chiropractic buddies. And then, you can go afterwards and say, oh, I tried this technique on this person and this and this. But ultimately, the consumer just cares about, can you make me feel better? Can you get me back to doing what I used to do before I got this injury?
Yeah, I just we're looking at getting a new car, and I was at the dealership, and it's funny because at the service desk they said we only use authentic Toyota brand parts, and I thought, who cares? Like I've never looked at a bolt on my car and gone, let me see, is that an authentic genuine Toyota bolt that you put through there? I don't, all I care is like, does it run? Does it work? Does it work well? Yeah. And I don't. Like you're saying, I don't care what wrench he turned it with. I don't know if it's Craftsman brand or, Mac tools, but it's just, I want to know that it's the best. right?
Yeah.
And that's all they care about.
Imagine if you're sitting at the entrance to let's say the I-5, and you've got this big sign that says San Francisco, and the guy pulls up to beside you and says, "Hey, you looking for a ride?" And you say, "Actually, yeah, I need to get to San Francisco." And then he starts telling you about the history of his car and where he bought it from and what kind of mileage he gets on it, and just on and on about the history and the story. And he's just weaving this beautiful tearjerker about how beautiful this car is and how wonderful of a ride and comfortable it is. And really, what do you care about as a hitchhiker? Can you get me to San Francisco? And can you do it without talking my ear off? You know what I mean? So really, when we start going into our story about all the different techniques and the stuff that we're doing and not thinking about the actual benefits to the consumer, they're going to start tuning us out and looking for the next person that's going to help me solve my problem in a way that I can understand, and it's going to work around some of the things I need.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into this. So
For sure.
With clear marketing, what are the benefits that, our listeners will attain if once they clarify what they're actually saying? What will their life be like? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the spoils belong to the clear. The victory in the 21st century belongs to those who can clarify their message in a way that people can understand. And one of the examples that I've heard Donald Miller, the author of Building a StoryBrand, give so often is he asks his audience, and he does this all around the world. He just says, "Hey, what did Jeb Bush want to do for America?" And nobody really knows. I mean, you might think Jeb Bush was going to be a great candidate for president, and I don't mean to get overly political, but nobody really knows on either side of the Republican-Democrat divide. And then he says, what did Hillary want to do for America? And nobody really knows what Hillary wanted to do for America either. But then he asked, what did Donald Trump want to do for America? And no matter what your political background, that Donald Trump wanted to make America great again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to empower people, and he wanted to be a part of, send me out into Washington. I'll be the wrecking ball in D.C. Stuff like that. But it was all about, I want to make you great. I want to empower you to be a part of a great future. If you look at what Jeb wanted to do, he wanted to, I'm with Jeb. Or sorry, Hillary Clinton was I'm with her, and Jeb can fix it, actually, was Jeb Bush's mantra for a little while. And so these are very, very me-centered things, or at least it was focused on him, whereas Donald Trump wanted to empower. And so he was very clear. He put it on a red trucker hat, and people voted for him because it was just clear. I think, not always the best product wins.
Look at Apple products. I mean, I went into the Apple store the same day I went into a Microsoft store, and the way they offer the products are so wildly different. And if you went into an Apple store after having gone to Microsoft, you would describe it as sparse, but it's very clear. Do you want the Apple Watch, the iPhone, or the MacBook? Like, we don't need to know the MacBook has 86 megs of RAM or whatever. I don't even remember because I don't care. I just want to know this thing is going to work, and it's going to work well, and it's going to be able to edit my photos and my videos and do all the cool stuff that I want a computer to do, not what are his internal marketing pieces. And that's what Microsoft was trying to pitch. And it's like, one of those companies is going to be the largest company in the world pretty soon here, and that's Apple, and they've stripped it down to the very clear, what does this product do?
Yeah. Apple's a great case study in the power of clarity. And I think you could go through some of the leading brands these days and realize that simple, clear messages are winning the day. And why is that? Because right off, I said in the beginning, is we're getting hit with so many messages, and it's confusing messages. But I think when you're clear, you can say, this is what I offer. And when people say, this is what you offer, then they don't have to waste too many calories trying to think through, what is it that this person is actually delivering? What is it that this company is providing me? If they have to think it through too much, they're going to tune it out. Why? Right. Because the human brain wants to just simply survive. We're trying to burn as few calories as possible so that we can, move on to solve our problems. And I only have a certain amount of energy every day, and I don't want to waste it trying to think through what all these various 5,000 messages are trying to tell me. So what do? Tell it to me simply. You don't have to be clever. You don't have to be cute. You just have to be clear. And, we've seen that the clear offers usually win the day. You can have two different companies or services or practices, And one's way better than the other. But if the other one is clear in their message, my bet is on them that they're going to win the business. And so I guess my challenge to everybody is ask yourself, is if you were just coming to approaching my website or some of my marketing collateral, even how I talk about my business, am I clear in how I do it? Because if not, I'm leaving money on the table and giving business away to other people.
So if we take a clinic owner that says, what we do is chiropractic, we do active release technique, we do Graston, which you probably don't know, but is a soft tissue. So we're working on muscles by using a tool. And we do, what else? And I start talking about my certifications. How can we break that down into a message that actually is more clear for people that are like, hey, I want the street level tactical. How do I do this right now? So if people say, what do you do at a party? And I say, well, I do ART and I do chiropractic and I do blah, blah, blah. That's me centric. And you're saying you don't want to be me centric. And then also I'm using a bunch of freaking 3-letter acronyms they have no idea about.
Yeah, I think the problem is I was just talking to a chiropractor friend working on his message yesterday. And one of the things we talked about is this phenomenon called the curse of knowledge. And it's not just chiropractors that are guilty of it. It's anybody who's an expert in their field. If they're good at what they do, then they probably have other friends that they talk to. They're in some mastermind group where they talk about their various techniques and what are you trying, new technologies. And then they're probably using all sorts of acronyms. If you ever hung out with doctors or nurses, gone for coffee and listen, or at a party, listening to them talk, and then they're giving all these different, I saw the MX3 and we tried the R2W and all this. I'm just like, I don't have a clue what you guys are talking about. It's because on a scale
I was on an Army base. I was teaching a course on an Army base last week, and they were all using acronyms left and right. I mean, it was like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, because they're experts in what they do, and they don't want to waste a lot of time giving the full wording of all their abbreviations and alliterations or whatever. And so what they're going to do is they're going to simplify it. Or at least in their mind, they're simplifying it with each other. But they're talking at a level 10 out of a possible 10 because they're so good at what they do. And then they think, we're talking to others. We should probably dumb it down. So they bring it down to a 6 out of 10. And they think, this is real street language of what we're doing. But the truth is that the average person doesn't know even a 6 level about what it is that they're talking about. And people buy and sell at the level 2. And that's where kind of the level of the emotions. You don't have to work through your brain too much. You're just really trying to trigger people, tugging at their heartstrings at a level 2 or a 3. So that's the first thing I would say is, does your website have a bunch of insider 9 or 10 language? And even if it has a 6 out of 10 language, I'd say it's still way too high and you're missing the general public that you're trying to reach. You want their attention. You want them to come to your clinic. And so you got to figure out a way to simplify what it is that you're talking about. So then also, not only just that is the level of language that you're writing, but also think, is this writing at the perspective of I'm giving people what they want? Because like we said before, we don't care about what kind of techniques that you use. I just want to know that you can make me feel great again. And make me feel, what did certain chiropractor Dr. Wilson want to do? He wanted to make you feel great again. Put that on a shirt or a hat.
Red trucker hat, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to work, right? No, but anyways, the truth is that I just want outcomes. I feel happy. I want to be able to play with my kids on the floor. And this injury is causing me some serious pain and it's preventing me from achieving the life that I want. So can you give me that? Then show it to me. Tell me that you can do it and tell it to me early. Maybe if we're talking websites, because that's people's number one.
So if I work with golfers, I could literally say, play better golf tomorrow. Something like that. Very clear.
Yeah. Or I'll take strokes off. I'll take strokes off your game, or I'll give you the swing that you see the pros or something like that. Just show me the outcomes that are going to come of it, and again, put it in your pictures, put it in your headline, make it clear what it is the happily ever after. That's the thing. I mean, ultimately, you're going to have to say, okay, if we're using the power of story here, what is my happily ever after for my clients? What is the outcome that they want? Because they wake up every single day with this whole list of things that say they need to conquer these things so that they can get to their happily ever after, whatever that looks like for them as it relates to your brand. And so there's a whole bunch of things that I had to do today. Some were involving business, some were involving family, some with home repair. And those are actually the things I'm interested in. And then my obviously personal pain would be one of those things. So if you can connect with my list of things that I need to get through that day to achieve my ultimate happily ever after, then all of a sudden I'll be more interested in choosing you as my doctor. And so can you identify with my pain? Do you understand what I'm going through? Have you taken the time to build empathetic statements? I understand what it's like to feel helpless and hopeless, knowing that maybe this chronic pain is never going to end. And if all of a sudden you write that in your marketing collateral, I'm gonna be like, wow, this person understands me. There's a human to human empathetic connection. I think that's important to put in our marketing collateral rather than just talking about how great you are and all the awards that you've won. There is actually a place for that if it's done on purpose and saying, look, I can connect with you empathetically, but I'm not just going to connect with you. I'm going to show you that I've helped a lot of people. And you're not my first rodeo. You're not my first client that I've ever worked with that I've seen in pain. I can help you, guide you, lead you out here. So then there's a place for testimonials and awards.
I just want to stop you real quick there because you're saying lead you. And I know I have a little bit of knowledge about the StoryBrand process, but one of the big things is be a leader or a guide. Don't be the doer. Don't be the hero in the story, right? A lot of doctors think they have to be the hero. But the other piece that I think often gets overlooked that I'd love you to talk on is the power of presenting a very simplistic, like 3-step plan to your clients.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about like that in the idea of a chiropractor, like we do 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah. So I'll just talk about your first point about presenting yourself as a guide. And one of the things we've been talking about, Josh, is that everybody wakes up every day as the hero of their story. And so if you present yourself as a hero of your story to me, what I do is I go home at the end of the day. My wife says, how was your day? And I said, hey, it was great. I met a lot of heroes today that were very influential in their story. But in a limited resources, and with limited time, I'm going to say, yeah, it's interesting. They're leading their story. I'm leading my story. Oh, that's interesting, whatever. I'll tell my wife, but I'll not go any further than that. But if you present yourself as somebody who solves problems, as a guide who helps heroes achieve their happily ever after, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take your business card, put it in my head, and say, when I have this particular problem, this is the person I'm going to call because they are good at solving problems. That's how they presented themselves. So everybody has to realize that they're in some kind of problem-solving business and then present themselves as that to other people. So I think that was an earlier question that we didn't quite cover is whenever you talk about what you do, always start with saying, most people struggle with whatever, chronic pain. You could go to their emotions and say they feel helpless and hopeless, maybe despair, that there's going to be any kind of solution. Most people I know have been told that surgery is the only answer, but I have a framework, and that's where you get into the next part. I have a system, I have a solution that allows them to avoid surgery through natural treatments, realigning the body so that they would feel great again. Okay, so that's kind of how you talk about it. So presenting yourself as somebody who solves problems, and every guide has to have a plan, right? If you're just simply trying whatever, no one's going to really trust you. Hey, I have this problem. Well, let's try something random today. No, I actually help a lot of people, and here's how I help them. The first step. Here's the second step. Here's the third step.
Are you a chiropractor or physical therapist working long hours, worrying about lower repayments and missing out on quality time with your family? You can double your income without working more hours by adding a gym to your practice. Clinic Gym Hybrid Solutions has a step-by-step guide that dramatically simplifies and speeds up the addition of a fitness center and its monthly recurring revenue. In just 6 months, you can be on your way to freedom. Visit clinicgymhybrid.com today for a free downloadable PDF and complimentary consultation to get you started. That's clinicgymhybrid.com.
A great analogy I've heard and use often is a person is struggling with some sort of problem and they're sitting on the edge of a riverbank and they see across the river all these people that have overcome their problem. They're happy, they're moving around, they're playing with their grandkids. They're all excited about life and they're able to just enjoy the things that they always used to do. But I'm sitting here on the edge with all this pain and struggling. And all I see is raging river going across. And I think, I'm never going to be able to get across there. And then all of a sudden a guide comes alongside me and puts his arm around me and says, hey, you know what? All you see is water, but I see 3 stones that could get us across that river. Here's the first stone, here's the second stone, and here's the third stone. And all you got to do is take that first step. If you could take that first step, let me cheer you on to say that there is a solution. You could be across the river with your people. So let me show you 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, but I don't want to show them 17 steps, right? I don't want to show them 4 or 1 or like 3 is kind of a magical number, right?
Yeah, 3 is just a great number. You know, we most presentations are in 3s. We have tic-tac-toe, snap, crackle, pop. Just for some reason, we love 3s. I think the brain can handle 3s. And so, I mean, I'm working with a realtor client, and the truth is there's about 47 steps to buying and selling your home. But you would never notice that by looking at his marketing collateral, because step 1 is always initiate the phone call, schedule an appointment, whatever it is. It's got to be an easy, simple way, and just taking that first step off the riverbank onto the first rock. But it's close and it's easy, and you can cheer them on and say, look, you can do this. The second step is you got to lump a lot into the second step, because the third step is almost when you're nearly home, you're nearly at the end, right? This is like start celebrating because you're there. So, you know, maybe the first step is schedule an appointment or fill out an account form. I was with the guy I was with yesterday. I said, hey, why don't on your website you have like that initial step, you know, and like when you go to a chiropractor for the first time and they hand you a clipboard and you know it's going to be like half an hour of paperwork sitting there doodling on this piece of paper that's been photocopied like 50 times because they can't find the original.
Oh my God, I hate that.
Yeah. So I said, why don't you put that on like online or something so that people can fill that out at home, where they can actually type faster than they can write. And then they know you have all their information, that you don't have to give it to your receptionist who then has to write it out. You could save people a ton of time, but make that the first step. And maybe sometimes some people don't have that level of sophistication online. So make the first step, just come in, schedule a call, contact us, fill out an online form. I can do that. The truth is that's not a hard step. The second step is usually we'll assess your needs. We'll take a look at what you're struggling with, talk about your pain points, and then I'll come up with a plan. But the third step is that we're going to then implement that plan so that you could feel great again. So, and that's almost, like I said, you're almost at the happily ever after by that third
So step, the third step shouldn't be like, your body naturally heals. The third step should be some sort of celebration, like, step 3,
I can
go climb a 14,000 foot peak or whatever,
Exactly. Something like that, where you're nearly there, you're celebrating, and people can see themselves, hey, look, I can do step 1, and then I can get to step 2, and step 3 is like, hey, we're almost across the river by this point. But you got to always have a plan, because that's why we trust experts. Why we take the risk of giving people our time, our business, and we can actually say, if you have a plan and you lay that clearly out to me, hey, I'm way more inclined to go with you than the person that has no indication that they have a plan.
Right.
And all they want me to do is to schedule a call. Well, I don't know what to do after that. But like I said, the spoils of marketing war belong to the clear these days. And so if you can clearly mark out that plan and then tell people you can take this first step and make that first step clear, I think you can win a lot more clients.
It also carries through with how you interact with your clients. If you say, hey, step 1, is that initial assessment phase. Let me show you what we're going to do, because it can include a bunch of parts, right? But that first step, and then we're going to go to the treatment phase, which is blah, blah, blah. And then once we're done with that, that's when you move on to the celebration phase of the happily ever after, which, if you're working with golfers, this is when you're winning tournaments, or if you're saying going out there and playing tennis with your wife, whatever it is that you're interested in doing, I can guide them through inside the office. And it makes it very clear to the point where they don't say, I don't know if I should come back, because they're clear on what the expectation is from both sides, themselves and you as a business owner, right? And they're like, okay, well, I guess, I'm going to guess it's going to take 3 or 7 or 12 more visits because we have to get through these big chunks. I know you're Canadian, by the way, Jon, and so therefore you're very kind, but you've seen some pretty bad messaging on websites and businesses, right?
Yeah, I think even Canadians can admit when they see some marketing that doesn't work. And by the way, I just think it's interesting that you said golfers can win tournaments. How many golfers win tournaments? I'd just like to make it to the 15th hole without feeling like my hip's going to explode, right? So just think of the win like, hey, just you feel great again. Wouldn't it be great to be able to do the things you love, whether it be go back to work or all that? So yeah, present the success and show it often. We talk about how the more you think through, like, okay, what's the happily ever after from my client? And then the more time you think through, if you could get a list of like 10 things that they would be excited about having, and it really takes some thought, because you have to do a little bit beforehand and say, what are the problems that they're facing, and work through that. But then I could actually make a whole list of things that would be wins for them, that would be exciting for them. And then I could draw from that all the time. I take one of those wins and put it in my social media posts. I could take one of those wins and make a video about it, tell a testimonial about somebody who achieved that, a previous client. You could take that win and put an image of it as your headline, header image on your website. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do from that success resource that you've got. And so you have no shortage of stuff to talk about. Now, all that to say, I see a lot of people that aren't putting wins on their website. They're not talking about wins on their emails or when they're, everything should always be about the win, because that's what people want. They want to know, can you give me my happily ever after? The dream that I have of where my life could go is being hindered by all these problems. And when it comes to your people, it's their physical breakdowns, but then it's also what it's doing to the chaos that is causing them internally, right? So it's not that you guys are just solving physical pain. You're also helping people be set free from the despair and hopelessness that they're feeling inside, the anxiety that they're ever going to get back to work again, or the feelings of inferiority because they're feeling like they're mooching off the system or their family or whatever. So you guys are actually, you have a sacred mandate to then give people hope again, give them inspiration that you can get them back to the life that they wanted originally. So
yeah, I mean, it's so powerful, and it's so it can be a little bit overwhelming too, to kind of clarify your message and come up with your own script. So, we were talking before this interview, and Jon actually put together an event for our listeners to kind of go over this, right? Because there are so many parts and pieces to making sure this messaging is crystal clear.
Yeah. So with most of my clients, what I would do is charge $1,000. And what we'll do is go through 15 questions of how to do some of the stuff that we've been talking about. Who is your ideal client? What do they want? What's their happily ever after? What are some of the problems that they're struggling with? We'll look at the internal chaos that it's sending them into. And then we're going to say, how do we set ourselves up as a guide? And so we're going to establish empathy, saying we care about you. We know what you're going through. We understand your condition, but we're also an authority. And now this isn't our first rodeo. We've helped people out. And here's some statements that we can make to set ourselves up. So you trust us. You want to do business with us. Here's the plan that we have. And I'll do all that, and it's a 2-hour session, and it's pretty expensive. It's quite an investment. I think it's the most valuable investment. But then I thought, you know what? There's some people out there, Josh, that are listening that just can't come up with $1,000. Maybe they're just starting out their journey, and it's just a little too steep. So I thought, why don't we do, since we're all talking about chiropractic stuff, let's get you and I on a call, and some people that are kind of the hardcores that really want a clear, easy call to action. And let's build a brand script together. We'll go through it all. I'll lead it. You can be in on it, and whoever else wants to contribute. And out of that, you will then have this brand script. And to me, it's the most valuable thing. I don't do anything in marketing with any clients, or even in my own marketing, without creating a brand script, because it's just literally the foundation that you build everything on, from your website to your email campaigns, to even how you talk about what you do at a party. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a page that you and I can direct people to, and then they can just say, hey, this is obviously something that's valuable, and they can reserve a spot, and then I'll send them a link to my Zoom meeting room. And from there, hey, we'll make magic, marketing magic together using the power of story.
Awesome. So, we could just call it, we'll do /clinic gym hybrid, if that's all right. So can you give them the landing page address? I know it'll be hosted at your place.
Yep. Yeah. The landing page address will be getclear.ca/clinic gym. What did you say again? Hybrid. Clinic gym. Yes. We'll create that page just for your listeners, and we'll put it at $150. I think that's a steal. And something that everybody should have a brand script.
As soon as you get clear on your messaging, I'm sure you're going to sign up somebody within the first 24 hours of delivering your clear message, whether that's on a website, at a party, or anywhere else. So that $150 that'll be taken care of right then when you sign up your first client.
Oh, for sure.
So this is a great deal.
Problem.
All right. So getclear.ca, because you're up in Canada, /clinic gym hybrid.
Yeah, fantastic. And we'll have that ready and ready to go for as soon as this is released. So I'm excited about that, and I'll be looking forward to meeting people personally. So that'll be a great day.
Yeah, I think
we're going to do it on June 20th, right?
Sounds right. Yeah, June 20th. It'll be, like you said, 2 hours long, hosted over video call, so we can get people from all parts of the nation all together.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Well, Jon, I want to thank you for your time and thank you for all the help. I'm really excited about this event coming up, helping people get clear on their messaging. If people want to work with you and they're like, hey, I don't want to do the 2 hour, I want you all to myself. I want 100% injection of Jon Morrison. How can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can go to my website, www.getclear.ca, and they can contact me through there, schedule a free consultation call, or they can just send me a personal email at jon@getclear.ca, and we'll see if a partnership would work.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jon. And on behalf of Jon Morrison, this is Dr. Josh Satterley saying, go out there, maximize your license, and live the life you dream of. Thanks a lot, Jon.
Hey, Josh, it's been a pleasure, and I'm so excited to help your audience, because I think they have, like I said, a sacred mandate to help people. And there's a lot of people struggling out there, and your people can offer them solutions. So go out and market with clarity, and you will win. The spoils of marketing war belong to the clear, and so get clear.
Thanks for listening to Clinic Gym Radio. If you're ready to double your profit without working longer hours, please visit clinicgymhybrid.com and find out how easy it is to get started on your path to freedom. That's clinicgymhybrid.com.